reporters. "He's not a patch on you, Fitch, and you know it." He gave her one of his famous grins, and she couldn't help but grin back. She did know it. Both of them feeling the adrenaline surge that came from doing this job. By any normal definition of the word, they were mad, driving headlong into a conflict zone and actively looking forward to it. How many assignments had they been on together now? 11? 12? Pretty impressive given the areas they'd worked, given this had been an accidental partnership in the first place. But Homs had been a pivot for them both. She thought she'd seen the worst there was to see. She thought barbarity had lost its shock value for her and no depravities remained to break her heart. Until the barrel bombs had started falling from the skies. Even now, the sight of a helicopter, the sound of its distinctive drone made her blood stand still in her veins. And what was it for? Why did she and Cunningham put themselves through this, dismantling their own souls, putting their lives on the line when it didn't change anything? Words on the front page of a newspaper weren't enough. A photo of a child's terror, a mother's desperation wasn't enough to stop those bombs from falling, because still they fell, and harder than ever. But she was drawn back here, against her better judgment, against all reason. For the very simple reason that if not her, then who? People only believed what they could see. She had to be their eyes. These stories had to be told. These people had no one else. And neither did she. Cunningham reached over and squeezed her thigh. "It's good to have you back, Fitch. I missed you." "Yeah, I guess I missed your ugly mug too. Although, I'd have appreciated you telling me to meet you here instead of 100 miles away," she said with a sarcastic smile. "That was 3 nights' sleep I'll never get back." He chuckled, his fingers tapping lightly on the top of the steering wheel. "Gotta go where the stories are, Fitch." "There's stories all over this hellhole. You can't move for stories. There's not a person in this country who doesn't have a story." He looked across and winked. "Not like this one." Something in his body language caught her attention and made her antenna twitch. "Oh, God," she groaned. She had seen that look only a handful of times over the course of their partnership, but she knew exactly what it meant. "What have you got?" "A tip-off." "Uh-huh," she mumbled, waiting for more. Cunningham prided himself on his network of contacts. It ran across the country, crisscrossing regions like a gossamer spider's web, unseen but for a tiny vibration in the wind. "There's a small village, Hrayashek, 8 miles west of here. There's a guy there I want to talk to. Name of Musef. I helped his cousin Abad in Raqqa." She watched him as he talked, seeing how burnt his skin was, the dust in his hair, fatigue as worn upon his body as that shirt. Did he even notice anymore? She had only been gone 6 weeks, but her perspective was fresh again. She saw this place with new eyes. Get his 3 kids out of the house when it took a direct hit. His little girl was pinned beneath the lintel. We managed to get her free, but both her legs were crushed. How old was she? She winced, already seeing clearly in her mind's eye. How many other little girls had she photographed in the same anguish? He shrugged, but she saw the little ball pulse in the corner of his jaw. 6. Will she walk again? She'll walk. She'll never be a dancer. Lee inhaled sharply, looking back out of the window. No one danced here anyway. It was almost perverse to think of music and laughter and dancing when the sky was bright with fires, the country burning. Anyway, that's background, he said tightly, not wanting to dwell on what the little girl had lost. She was alive. That was all that mattered. Musef, like I said, is his cousin. The village has been overrun with people escaping Kobani. You've no doubt heard ISIL has been ramping up the number of attacks there recently. Of course she'd heard. And Lee squeezed her jaw in anger, already knowing the stories she and Cunningham would hear when they got there, already knowing how this would play out. The jihadist strategic aim wasn't just about gaining control of the city, but the entire canton. They had overrun the region in recent weeks, and had already taken control of hundreds of villages. Nowhere was safe. With the city under siege, there were reports of the electricity of water supplies already being cut off. It was no better on the outside either for the tens of thousands of displaced citizens fleeing from one toppled village to the next, straight into the arms of their enemy. Hadn't these people been through enough? When would it end? There were already no more houses to live in, no shops to shop in, no people.